Hey, B-Siders. Welcome to another episode of Bravo for the B-Side. This is Jim.
And this is Danny.
And it took us like 50 minutes to get this introduction going.
Uh-huh. I think you got the giggles.
You keep making faces at me.
I was trying to... I wasn't trying to mess you up.
Yeah, but you do it once and I just can't, push it out.
Okay.
Anyway.
I'll make no faces the rest of the show. None.
That's going to be impossible. Anyway, it didn't take really 50 minutes, but it was like five false starts.
Yeah.
All right.
This is going swimmingly.
Yes, it is. We're going to be talking about a pretty cool movie.
Yeah.
In a little bit. Indie film.
Mm-hmm.
At a budget level that would rival most B movies.
Yes.
Right? So impressive budget. Yeah, we'll get to that in a moment. What is going on that's worth talking about?
Nothing.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about any news.
Oh, no, we're not talking about any of that garbage. I'm trying to think. Squid Games is coming out in a couple of days.
I'm very excited.
The next season. So that's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Foundation
is
coming. What else? There was something else.
Lots of new stuff is coming out.
Yeah.
Pretty soon.
But it gets to a point where it's difficult to keep it all on the front clipboard.
Mm-hmm.
I will say what we have been enjoying, and we've enjoyed all the other I don't want to call them seasons, but shows. Long Way Home.
Oh yeah.
All right, Ewan McGregor.
That's lovely.
And his
Charlie Borman.
Yep, good friend Charlie Borman. They started out, I think we might have talked about it before, 2004 with Long Way Around. They rode their motorcycles around the world, and Long Way Up, Long Way Down, north to south, south to north, and then this is Long Way Home, where they're sticking to the area around them. So Norway, Sweden, all this great Iceland. On older bikes, they found some older bicycles.
Kind of a loop around Western Europe.
Yeah, basically their backyard. And to kind of get to know it a little more. No, it's not an indie film. No, it's not a B movie. There are no lessons to take from it because it's basically a documentary of them doing it. But even from the beginning, which you can see the evolution on how rough the beginning actually was. Folks, I recommend it. Ewan McGregor is just a fantastic human being. Charlie Borman is probably the one person put on this earth to become his best friend. They are a magnificent pair. They are just so lovely.
They are.
And, they're just very real about it. And it just is really nice to kick back. It gives me the same peace as when I watch Travels by Narrowboat on YouTube. And it's fun.
It is. And there's funny moments, and you learn a little bit about, little things.
Yeah. But just the two of them. I think what does it for me is the passion that they have for motorcycles and for going for these rides and doing it all by motorcycle. You couldn't give me a motorcycle, right? I have zero interest. But it's interesting. It's a rare thing when you get to watch somebody so passionate about that one thing that they're doing. You can't help but almost be swallowed up in it.
Right.
You can almost feel the happiness they're feeling, and you just feel happiness for them, which is a rare thing, especially these days.
It is.
It's a needed thing.
And it's nice to capture that in the form that they do in their sort of documentary series.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, if you haven't seen it, folks, it is on HBO. Or no, it's Apple TV. Duh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's Apple TV. HBO. What did I do?
How dare you?
I know, right? I'm not going to be able to ever talk about anything Hollywood ever again.
Kick you out of the
They're
business.
going to come get me.
Yep. And you were just saying you're a professional podcaster.
Was I? I won't do the voice I did it in.
Okay.
Yeah. I was having some setup issues.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so stuff that we're watching, and waiting for. Try to think. I'm sure there's news out there, but I mean, we're kind of on a blackout.
A little bit, yeah. I've been deep diving books.
Yeah, you've been reading like
lately.
Wildly crazy.
I know.
You and the girls have got this
our little
trio
book club.
Of, just voraciously reading books, which is good because you hadn't for a while.
No.
And that was like when we met, that was your thing. Well, the first time we talked, you were reading a book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'd seen you,
yeah,
many yards away several times.
Right. Well, but back then part of it was a little bit of escape, right? But I also have just always loved reading books.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then reading books at public. We met at the workplace we both worked at together at the time. I figured reading books outside was a good way for me to be outside, but also a way to discourage people from approaching me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't work for me, though.
No. You just kept coming up and talking to me, and I'm like, well, okay. Which
is, it's a miracle that happened because you've seen me. You know how I am.
Mm-hmm.
That should not have happened. That would, if it had been a script, someone would have said, cut that out. That does not fit the character at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I just didn't do that kind of thing. But
and
the universe said, do it.
Yeah. So I've been plowing my way through this. I mean, just like plowing my way through this Dungeon Crawler Carl series by Matt Dinniman. And it's very, very good. Our friend recommended it to me. And he also is a little bit disappointed that I'm not listening to the audiobooks because he's in love with the audiobooks.
Oh, sure. I mean,
Apparently the guy who voices the audiobooks does different voices for all the characters, and he's actually an exceptionally talented voice actor.
Oh, well, that helps.
And he begged me over text to go check out this guy. I think it's Josh or Jeff Hayes narrates the Dungeon Crawler Carl books. Sure. You can look him up. And I found a clip of him singing a little video of him saying all these different character voices, the catchphrase of Carl, which is "God damn it, donut." So
sure.
And him saying it all the different character voices, and it was very good. It makes me a little sad I'm not listening to the audiobooks, but I prefer reading.
Yeah, I get it.
Generally.
Yeah. Well, and I've mentioned it before. I think we've talked about it. Audiobooks are fantastic.
Yeah.
They saved my sanity when I was on the road weeks weeks at a time. You just got to have something. You can only listen to so much fucking radio. All the stations end up being the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and there are good ones. There are really great ones. And then there were some that tried to do this with, voices and stuff. Oh, man, missed the mark.
Yeah.
Word. There was a couple I couldn't finish. I donated them to the library. Just, so miserable.
I get it.
And then turned around and went and found the book. So when I actually had downtime and like, oh, well, this is better.
Yeah.
This is way better. Because the voices can ruin it in an instant.
They definitely can.
And the wrong narrator.
But, I mean, on the flip side, there are some books that do better in an audiobook format. Like, for example, Dune. I had a very tough time reading Dune on paper.
I mean, a lot of people do.
I could not. I just could not. I tried.
I know.
But there's a whole, there's a whole dictionary in the front of the book, Dune. And I was like, I'm not going to remember all of this. I need to learn it as I go, And then it just jumps in with all this terminology, and I'm just like, I don't know.
So that's where we're just so very different.
I'm not going to go and look back at what that was. This brings me out. But then I found the full production audiobook where they actually had a bunch of actors.
Yeah. Well, it was a radio play, basically. They did it like a radio play.
Yeah. I mean, but it wasn't abridged. It was the book.
Yeah.
And I managed to listen to that and really enjoyed it. I still wouldn't pick up the book and look through it, though.
See, that was my jam. I love that book so fucking much. That was the whole reason I got into photography, because I love not Dune.
Okay.
But the same reason that Dune hit me hard as I loved, like page 1, I was in, was the writing fantastic? No, not in a storytelling perspective. I would give it like a C, right? But the whole reason I got into photography is because, you spend your life looking around, and I like order.
I know you do.
But I like order in chaos, and I like ordered chaos in chaos. I would see things, and that's the whole thing of wanting to, take pictures. I saved up my allowance. I bought that broken fucking camera from Goodwill. It was a Canon film camera, had a cracked lens. Someone donated it. Paid like, I think, $4 for it.
Yeah.
Watched some film, and I was fucking hooked. When I got it developed, I'm like, this is what I'm talking about. Grabbing that moment when I see something, and I see just the basically how the universe works. It was like science through art. That's how I perceived things. So Dune, I mean, I loved Stranger in a Strange Land. Read that before Dune.
Yeah.
Right. Because I read that, I don't know how many dozens of times before I finally bought a copy for myself when I was like 11. But yeah, anyway, it was, that's why I like some of the things we watch aren't for everybody, but I like the cinematography.
Yeah.
I like the order of it, the story of it. Again, there's order, and then order can come in chaos. Order can be chaos. I like the dichotomy of it all.
You have an eye for wild and beautiful things.
Oh, well, thank you. Like you.
Oh. That's very sweet. That wasn't where I was trying to steer you.
Oh, that's fine. But it's true.
Mwah.
Yeah. So, speaking of
wild and beautiful things.
Yeah. We have a movie. The name doesn't really give you much to go on.
It does not.
Right? And it really, when you watch it, it makes sense. And we'll get to all of that as we do after we dissect this thing mercilessly, beat by beat.
As we always do.
Yeah. Do you want to tell us what this week's movie for lessons is?
Well, Jim, I would love to. This movie is called Die Alone.
Right you are, Danny.
Yeah, let's just do the whole podcast like that.
I won't be able to. I don't know where that came from. I think your radio.
I did a little bit.
Your NPR tone triggered me. Okay.
Yeah. Released in 2024, written and directed by our friend Lowell Dean, who also did Wolf Cop.
Mm-hmm.
Starring Carrie Ann Moss, Douglas Smith, and Frank Grillo. Or Grillo.
I think it's Grillo.
Okay. The rating, according to IMDb, is TVMA, which I question because this is a film, not a show.
If it came in to okay, so let's talk about this for a second, because we always are like befuddled over where these
ratings,
numbers and shit come from.
Yeah.
Is it PG this? Is it this? R? Is it TV rated? I think most indie films come in unrated. I think, though, at some point when it's assigned a rating, they grab it, right, to give you an idea. Because if it came out, when it comes to television, streaming, so many films have TVMA or TV 14. And it's a, 2 hour and 20-minute movie.
Right.
But I think because they're the first one, like Netflix loves to slap shit on everything.
They sure do.
So who knows? But the MA part, spot
on. Mature
Yeah.
audiences. The budget is estimated to be $7 million.
That is wild.
That's a big budget.
It is a big budget.
But this was a well-produced film.
I mean, yeah.
High production value.
Yes, which is expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the lineup of folks.
Oh, I know.
Carrie-Anne Moss did not come cheap, but I know she's one of those folks who forgoes all the Actors Guild stuff. She'll work for whatever. She won't charge rate or her day rate and stuff, because she's done a lot of independent film.
Yeah.
And we've talked about how there's a bunch of people in Hollywood who are like, fucking love doing indie films.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to stop, we're going to give you $14 million to do this movie. Sure, shit. I'll do that. And then I'll pro bono this fucking indie film after.
That I actually want to do.
Yeah.
So here is the plot according to IMDb. It's not, well, I'll read it and then we'll chat about it for a second.
Yeah.
Tells the story of a young man who has amnesia. He bands together with a rugged survivalist in a zombie-like outbreak to find his girlfriend.
I mean, that's like lightly scratched the surface, spot on.
Right? I mean, yes.
From if you had a 30-second go, like a 30-second trailer, I think that would cover it, right? But it's a lot deeper than that.
It very much is.
Yeah, and that's why it's a bit misleading. The name doesn't give you much to go on. That we're like, oh, well, what were we going to do? Because it's Lowell's.
Yes.
And we're like, oh shit, there it is. Let's, we've been waiting. Yeah. Let's finally get to,
Well, I think we actually originally wanted to do his other one that came out this year, or is coming out this year, and it hadn't yet come out, or something of the sort.
Right. Well, we had this on our radar, but it's like everything else. We'll get to it when we get to it, and then we'll forget about it because there's so much.
God, we watch a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but yeah, $7 million. That's an extensive budget, and Lowell is at one of those levels. He's got the credibility, kind of like David, and so many others that can get this money, either raise it or find backers. I don't want to say easily, because it's never really easy.
It isn't easy.
But he's got a lot of, gunk right there backing him up. He's Wolf Cop 2. He's got, what was it? The Grid? The one about the power grid. I feel bad I can't remember all this shit, but I'm just like, there's so many things I have to like pack in.
Yeah.
Something's got to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
Trivia stuff has to go. But he's just super good at what he does.
Mm-hmm.
And we've heard from the people who've worked with him, like on Wolf Cop and other things. People love working with him.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's all a good recipe for, hey, I need some money. Well, tell me what you're making. And if you like it, or they like it, they invest in it.
Yeah, and he makes consistently, what's the word I was looking for? Consistently really well done things.
High quality.
There we go. That's it. Whoa. All right.
Should we start this?
Yeah, bring us in.
All right, I'm going to get the scalpel out. I'm going to start cutting. Ready?
You make it sound like we're going to tear this movie apart.
I mean, we tear every movie apart.
That's true.
It doesn't mean we trash it.
Yeah.
But, we get in there.
All right.
Okay. All right. So we open with a man standing on a hill overlooking a house. This is like a wide open expanse area. Then we have a voiceover, and it says, they say when you die, your life flashes before your eyes. And then we see some montage scenes of apparently from his life with him and a woman. There's dancing, there's playing. And then all of a sudden he lifts up a gun and blows his fucking brains out as we watch it from behind. He's silhouetted against the
old farmhouse.
The farmhouse and the view in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you see the half his head explode outward. Um, that was unexpected. And then we cut.
Yep.
We cut to a car driving at night. Radio is talking about some kind of thing going on. Um, it's very faint. It's one of those things. If we weren't taking notes, I could probably focus a little more.
Right.
But I was more on what's going on, not what's being said in the undertone. But clearly, there's something going on. They're talking about symptoms. And then we see the guy. It's the guy we just watched blow his brains out. And uh, the woman is from his scenes, his montage.
Memories.
Yeah. Then an alert goes off on her phone saying, stay away from people in a certain area. Okay. And then bam, it's daylight. And the dude has crashed his car in the middle of nowhere. His arm is in a cast. He's calling for Emma, presumably the woman, logically one would say. And he's walking through what looks like a deserted town. There's houses that are boarded up and really rough looking. Things like "There is no God" written on one of the roofs. Another one has SOS. We got, high shot. So he goes into an old school building. There's graffiti everywhere. There's an old evacuation flyer on the ground. And then a beefed up pickup strolls in. Dude in the back has a machine gun. And the guy asks our man if he's lost and then goes to shoot him, as always happens in a post-apocalyptic scenario. Yep. Then bam, again, someone else fires at truck guy. The driver gets tagged. Gun dude is down. The person comes out, finishes. I thought gun dude was finished off.
Right.
Well, I wrote it and then I realized, oh no, he got rifle butted, so he got knocked out. And then our guy tells this person, who we see as a woman, that he didn't even know these people. He's just looking for his girlfriend. And I wrote down his name is Marcel because he's wearing like a garage mechanics overall,
mm-hmm.
right? And it has Marcel written, embroidered. So I thought I would just start calling him Marcel. Marcel helps the woman start to move bodies, and then he faints. So he sort of wakes up. He's in the back of the pickup truck. There's some images of Emma, and then he's out again. And then he's waking up in a bed in some old house. He gets up to look for Emma. Downstairs, the front door has 3 big deadbolt locks on it and a couple chains.
Right.
The woman that he had met is in the kitchen having coffee. Her name is May. Marcel says his name is Ethan. She asks, are you sure? He says he has amnesia. May is making what looks like soup. By the by, I guess his name is Ethan,
mm-hmm.
but because I wrote Marcel like 1,000 times in this, I am not going to edit.
Okay.
So he is and always will be to me, Marcel.
Okay. I call him Ethan.
Well, we can call him Marcethan. Ethsel, something. Anyway, I'm just going to keep calling him Marcel because that's how it came down. So Marcel comes back down in some different clothes, and she asks, what does he remember? And he says they were getting supplies to go to their cabin. He hopes that she's there waiting for him. May tells him to keep his amnesia to himself. I didn't write it down, but I think the reason she said because the people out there are looking for weakness.
Right.
And, you run around, I have amnesia. Party on,
Right.
In the background, there's a wall of old news articles about a virus. May gives us a little bit of exposition. Basically, a virus broke out that they couldn't stop. Marcel's listening and he walks over to a piano in the room and he pushes a key on it, and man, she gets hot. It's like, don't touch that. Telling him not to touch anything in there. He goes outside. They're in a valley. The beefy pickup is there. Blood stain in the back of it, but no body. We hear a kind of growl. And then we see what is basically a skeleton wrapped in spider webs.
Right.
Like hardcore wrapped. May says it's Myrtle. She's harmless. Just don't get too close. Then he helps her with her generator wiring. And then when he stands up, he gets faint.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he follows her as she goes to get a possum from a trap. So we learn she lives alone with Myrtle. I mean, potato, potato. She tells him not to go snooping around. Every room is trapped.
Yeah, every room's booby trapped.
Yeah. And so then she pulls her gun, hands it to him, and tells him to shoot her.
Yeah.
Right? He won't. And she says, good boy, and takes back the gun and shows him that it's one of those that has a trick safety.
Yes.
Red means dead. When the safety is in that position, the back of the gun explodes.
Right.
So there we go. Let's see. Then he's riding an exercise bike to generate power. And we saw it earlier. It's just one of those little details you don't note all the different things. But I mean, she has solar and stuff, but this is how she generates power. And then he wanders and he finds a picture of May with some guy. And I say that because it was very difficult to see the picture. They didn't show it for very long at first, right?
I didn't even note the picture.
Oh, he's walking. He picks it up, and it's a dude with a cowboy hat and a younger woman. I will say this: May looks to be in at least late 40s, right?
Right, and she has
Maybe
a large scar on her cheek.
Yeah, like a starfish scar.
Yeah,
like some real shit happened.
Yeah,
right. So she's in another room drinking and slow dancing by herself. Marcel says it's late. He should hit the road. May asks, are you going to let a woman dance by herself? So they dance together. Then later, they're playing cards. And after he goes on about going out to find Emma, May tells him nothing good happens after dark. So they end up going to bed, not together.
Right.
When I wrote that, I'm like, well, I can clean that up. Yeah. So in his room, Marcel zips up a hoodie and starts to head out the door.
So he takes the big truck and heads out. He falls asleep at the wheel.
Yeah.
Just about crashing the truck. He's really determined to get to that cabin. But already his story doesn't super track,
Yeah, but you can't help but think, okay, so we've established he's got amnesia. He doesn't remember a whole lot of fucking anything.
Yeah.
And then
but the world seems to have been like this for a while.
Seems to be like this for a while, but also every fucking time he does something, he's like out.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, this is the kind of guy you probably, find him passed out on the toilet more often than not.
Yeah.
Whatever's going on seems to always affect him.
Right. And May seemed to have genuine concern for him. Every time he brought up Emma, she kept redirecting him. Oh, I need your help with this. Oh, can you help me with this? Oh, since you're here, can you help with this?
Yeah, almost like she gave the a look. I want to say, not really disbelief, but kind of, like she didn't think he made sense, and like he was fixating,
right,
and not present.
Yeah.
So kind of almost, somebody with some sort of mental deficiency going on,
like caregiver.
Yeah, yeah, trying to help the dude along.
Right. So, and then he's like hallucinating Emma in the truck. And then he sees himself with a gun. He's got these like scattered memories
Yeah.
that kind of come through.
Mm-hmm.
He sees himself with a gun. He sees this like man that we haven't seen telling him to
Yeah.
wake up.
Yeah. So this dude, and it's like his whole face, like from just below his chin,
Mm-hmm.
just, like shoulders and head fill the whole screen. And this dude's like, wake up.
Mm-hmm. So he wakes up in the truck. The road's blocked. And he ends up getting to the cabin where he has to break in. It doesn't have any power. And there is a woman in there, and she's aiming a gun at him.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a kid hiding near the couch. And as this sort of like, what do we do here situation happens, this like plant covered skeleton
Yeah.
walks through the door.
I just described it as this gnarly as fuck zombie thing.
Yeah. And they try to fight it off. And then Marcel Ethan has some flashbacks.
I'll call him Ethan. Go ahead.
Okay. And then helps them fight off the skeleton. And then it's out in the wild, like it wanders off.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently these creatures are more plant than people now, the woman tells him, and headshots don't work. And she is curious about where Ethan got his cast.
Yes.
She's sort of baffled by it.
Yeah.
Like
that's...
Like, where did you get a cast?
Yeah. Yeah.
And his cast is signed by Emma.
Yeah, it's got a red heart on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So this woman says that she and her kid have been there for weeks and there hasn't been anyone, because he explains that he's looking for Emma.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I'm hoping to find her. And she tells him hope is dangerous.
Yeah.
And then later she asks him to distract her, to tell her something good. And he starts talking about Emma. Like he feels like he's known her his whole life. They swore they would take care of each other. And they talked about like the beginning of the virus stuff. He remembers that.
Well, we learned that Emma's a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Yeah. He says that when he heard the virus was plant-based, he wasn't surprised. And that he and Emma made a plan to get out when it started. And then he goes to sleep. He has some weird dreams. I didn't really make any notes of them. But in the morning, that woman is dead. And there are plants growing from her ear. And Ethan is covered in blood. And then outside, there's a zombie woman with red hair eating the kid.
Yeah. Well, there's a small note here. So, yeah, the plant's growing here, but then they show he's got this bloody hammer in his hand, and she is, the woman's name was Joni, but she is all kinds of fucked up.
She is.
Just bloody and like partly shredded.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's not good.
No.
So yeah, he says this woman with red hair eating the kid, and then she's like gone. And he's checking it out, and then she's behind him.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
It made me wonder, what did I just see?
Yeah.
Because unlike sometimes, right, when I have to glance down and make sure I'm all good,
mm-hmm.
I was staring at this thing from beginning to end,
right?
This whole section, and he sees this thing eating the kid, and then it's suddenly just gone.
Right.
And then we cut back to him, and then all of a sudden, there it is, behind him.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think he's like losing time,
Yeah.
And then a gunshot goes through her head, and May is there. And she goes inside the house, the cabin, while he's still outside.
Mm-hmm.
And he outside recognizes this birdhouse. He opens it up. Inside's a bag with a phone in it. And he finds this video from Emma, a recorded video, where she talks about how his amnesia is getting worse. And she doesn't know if she can keep this up. The world isn't what it used to be. And the video cuts off, and May tells him that she's got a charger back at her house.
Well, the line, because I made sure to note this, she says, if you're lost and I'm not there, just, and then the battery crapped.
Yep.
And the zombies,
mm-hmm.
I noted this too. Apparently, when everything was starting to go bad, people called them the reclaimed.
Right.
Like they were being reclaimed.
By the earth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, she tells him they can charge the phone back at her place. She wipes the blood off his face, and then he introduces himself to her.
Yeah.
And she says, yep, we've done this before. And tells him to get on the back of her bicycle.
Yeah.
He took her truck that she took from those dudes. And they head back.
Mm-hmm.
She tells him that she hopes this girl is worth it. As they're riding back. And he says that he's not going to stop until he finds her.
And this is a long ass pedal, by the way.
It really is, yeah.
Yeah.
So she starts talking about herself a little. She tells him that she had someone and he died.
Mm-hmm.
And he asks her what her story is. And she says that she lives alone, has a garden, hunts, and takes in strangers. And she says that she's lonely and wishes that she were dead.
Yeah. There's a point in there when she's having this talk. She offers him some water,
mm-hmm.
and he's like, no. And I noted that because earlier she offered him something to drink,
mm-hmm.
and he was like, no. Just the same kind of, not, vehemently, but the first time was
like
booze.
Firmly.
Yeah, the first time was when she was drinking.
Yeah.
And I didn't think anything of it, but there was just something about his very, same exact reaction to saying no, just no.
Right.
Right? Not like, no, thank you, just no.
Very clear.
Yeah. So it's just, that repetition just kind of caught me.
Sure.
A little bit.
I do love the creepy plant zombies. We get a few of them on this bicycle ride.
Yes. Yeah. It's one of those where it's a wonderful, as they're going, usually it's shots of landscape and, an old farmhouse and a cow chewing its cud or whatever. But no, we got plant zombies in varying stages of plantiness, I guess.
Plantiness.
Like one had a full-on fucking tree growing out of its head from its torso.
Mm-hmm.
Others had branches and stuff. Some were really old looking.
Yeah.
It's a huge, it's like the whole gambit from Myrtle. Like I said, she looks like almost 100% skeleton.
Right.
There's just little faint bits you can see through all that thick web.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's mostly gone to the point where it's well, I don't know how long it takes for that shit to rot off, but
right.
It's not gonna be anything to move.
Yeah. So they go into a town to a gas station that seems to jog Ethan a little bit.
Yes.
So he sees himself pull up to the station with Emma. He doesn't have a cast in this flashback.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the first time that we get to see. So we've seen Emma in several memories of his. But this is really the first time that we get to see any more of Emma.
Right.
Right? Like her talking and all this stuff. And I wrote in my notes here, I think May is Emma, but I don't know how or why.
Sure.
But I wrote it down here. And there's this whole gas station scene where He's putting in gas. Emma's walking up to pay for it, I presume. And he sees a zombie.
No, they're not. No, it was abandoned.
Oh, that's right.
This was at the beginning, but nobody was there. They were gassing up, and he was going in to get stuff.
Right.
They're looking for supplies.
So he shoots a zombie that is going after Emma.
And well, so he shoots it, and then they're like, the hugs and stuff. Are you okay? And this and that. And then we see that fucking thing pop back up, and then real quick come at him, and then boom, we cut. We're back to the present. Ethan passes out, and then they're walking.
Which seems to be a very regular thing for him.
I mean, yeah. I tell you what, folks, if you want to have like a mild drinking game, play when Ethan hits the ground.
Right.
All right. This will get you going. So finally, after, even more walking, they eventually get back to May's, and she can immediately tell someone has been at her door.
Yes.
So they find a guy fucking around in the backyard. He says his name is Tom. He says he lost his wife somewhere in the area, and he's looking for her. May asks if he has a gun. He says no. She asks if he's fucking stupid, not having a gun.
Right.
Out, being out. So he shows her one, and then he tosses it. Tom says he's just looking for answers and food. May offers him a chore for hot meal, kind of thing. So then we have Ethan and Tom talking, and we have flashbacks of Joni's body. That's the woman with the boy that,
right.
He woke up with the hammer in his hand. Tom and Ethan are cutting wood. They're chatting. Tom goes to pee behind a junk truck, because in the yard around the house, there are old, like,
vehicles.
shells.
Yeah,
shells of vehicles. So he goes behind one to go pee, and he grabs a gun that was stashed there.
Yes.
So we already know something not good is about to fall down here. Then he goes inside, so she comes outside with lemonade. She asks who's hungry. Tom goes to the sink in the kitchen to wash up. May tells Ethan quietly to say he's not hungry. She'll cook him something later and do what she says.
Right.
Right. And of course, Ethan's like, oh. So then they're at the table. Tom has eaten, Ethan has not, and May pours some more wine. Then she gathers plates. Tom shows Ethan a photo of his lady, his wife. She went missing 10 days before. Ethan has another episode, ends up hitting the floor. May asks for help. Tom pulls out his gun and asks for hers and then takes it. He hits May. He is having some issues. Tom is. Starts to get a little wobbly. May tells him she sedated him.
Yep.
Ends up knocking Tom out. Ethan is still out. Later, he wakes up on the floor. It's dark. He sees people sneaking in. Apparently members of Tom's gang.
Right.
May comes down. She was upstairs. So probably just left them both on the floor.
Yeah.
Went to bed. She comes down. She gets caught. One of them picks up May's gun. And then Tom wakes up. And he says they're going to search the entire house to find proof that Fanny, his wife, was there. Then they're going to kill May and Ethan. I kind of liked that. It sounds kind of silly.
Yeah.
I like that forthright, no bullshit, fucking around. Just, we're going to do this and then we're going to kill you.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of,
Well, and he brings Ethan with, because Ethan by now has explained to him that he's looking for his girlfriend, Emma.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. So Tom clearly has something going on in his head.
Yeah.
About the whole situation that we'll get to. But I just liked that. I don't know. It stuck out. That was, I think that was really good writing, that peace, you know, just this is what we're going to do. And anyway, so Ethan's following Tom, who insists May is not who he thinks she is.
Right.
Hmm. So downstairs, the guy with May's gun says he'll make it quick. She says, use her gun. And he's like, I like that idea. Now we got the weirdos. um, and then she looks nervous. And then we cut upstairs, and Ethan finds a locket on the floor. It's Emma's.
Mm-hmm.
He opens it up. There's he and Emma.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll come back around to that. So outside, we got the guy with May's gun is snooping around near Myrtle. He goes into a barn, and so this is a lot of cutting.
It is.
Right. So we cut back to Tom. He comes down with a bag full of driver's licenses, jewelry, and shit.
Yeah.
Right? That has been kept in like a bag, almost like a trophy bag.
A little bit,
right?
Yeah.
And then he asks her if it's her kill trophies, and a necklace in there belonged to his wife, Fanny.
Mm-hmm.
So outside, Gun Dude is still prowling. We see a tripwire that he just misses. He cuts short of it and goes like different direction in this barn. He finds some locked doors. They got a chain with a lock on it.
Padlock.
Yeah. And so he grabs an axe to bust that open. Inside, Ethan points a gun at May, saying she killed Emma. She says she didn't. He asks if she's dead, and she doesn't answer. He asks when, and she says a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Then he asks how long he's had amnesia. Tom asks Ethan if he can say how he broke his arm. And then I have Tom grabs May's gun. So I thought the dude outside had her gun, but I guess that was a mistake.
Right.
Because there was a lot of gun movement and stuff. So anyway, so Tom now has May's gun. Outside dude breaks through the lock, and we can see inside the room. It's like almost black because it's night.
Yeah.
But there are computer screens of some kind. It's real quick, right? Mm-hmm. But something digital is going on.
Well, there's also a man.
We don't see that till the lights come on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Which is coming up. This is a lot of bing, bang, boom, bang, bing, bang, boom.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Do you want me to finish this bit?
Yeah. Why don't you finish this bit?
So we see those the screens, right, in the blackness. Then we cut inside. Ethan asks if he's sick. May says, no, you're dead. Outside, dude flips on the light in the room, and there's this guy. It's the gun guy from the truck.
Yes.
At the very beginning. In a hospital bed. His arm has been amputated, and he's sedated. And all those screens and shit, it's hospital monitors.
Yeah.
Right? Keeping him alive. Then the gun dude ends up tripping the wire, and the whole fucking barn goes up.
Yep.
And along with another dude who went out to look for him. So the barn is on fire, and all of a sudden Myrtle is on the move. And then she moves in to eat the third dude who we didn't get much airtime. And then we have some flashbacks, and I just put, is it Ethan eating Emma? It was kind of weird.
It's the woman and the boy from the cabin.
Right. And so then Tom goes to shoot May and then blows his hand up. And I just put excellent fucking effect here. That was magnificent. The aftermath, the practical bit, holy shit.
And good setup with the trick gun.
Yes. So then we see Emma's phone. Oh, no, wait, let me back up. Blows his hand up. Oh, and then Ethan goes nuts and starts to attack and eat Tom.
Yes.
May watches in a panic, and then we see Emma's phone. It's reached full charge.
Mm-hmm.
And then later, May is sitting with Ethan, and he's vomiting.
body bits.
Yeah, and we see an ear in the like bedpan.
Mm-hmm.
And then she says, "Don't worry, you won't remember."
And then Ethan wakes up um, with the cast still on, but this time it has a green heart instead of a red heart.
Yes.
And May is there asking how he slept, and he doesn't remember her. He asks her if she's a friend, and she tells him that they're running out of food. She needs to hunt, and she could use his help. And then they're suddenly in the woods. Ethan and Emma, or Ethan and, oh yeah, and Emma. His cast has a red heart.
Mm-hmm.
And they approach, it's May's house, but it looks different.
It looks, I don't want to say new,
Right.
but it doesn't look like
decrepit,
like post-apocalyptic decrepitation.
Right.
Yeah.
It looks like it would have in normal times.
Right.
And there's a man, Kai, there, and he has a little girl, Caroline.
Mm-hmm.
And they're chatting with them, introducing themselves. And Emma starts kind of begging them for help. She says that they were in a crash. He asks if they're sick and demands that they take their clothes off to prove it. And in this memory, Ethan has the cast.
Yes.
But the heart's red.
Yes.
So they take their clothes off so he can, check them for bites and stuff. And he tells Caroline to go tell Mama Bear they have company. Trust but verify. So Caroline mentions something that happened to Bobby, just kind of briefly.
Oh, yeah, because of what happened to Bobby.
Mm-hmm. And Kai tells Ethan and Emma that there are rules. If they break them, they die. So Kai doesn't believe what the news says about the reclaimed, as they're kind of talking about the virus. And he's talking about how it's dangerous to think the worst about people. You have to be a good person. That's why he's letting them come in. And
Mm-hmm.
There's a photo of him with 2 kids on a shelf. And he's kind of like, maybe this virus, this terrible thing is forcing us to get back to what matters.
Right. I think it's worth mentioning that Kai is the guy we talked about earlier.
Right.
But just this.
The wake up.
Yeah.
Guy.
The wake up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Kai seems like a good dude.
I mean, he seems like overall like a good dude, but he seems like in the real world, he was slightly on the wrong side of the fence with things.
Sure.
Like a conspiracist.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But not in a hugely bad way. Just somebody you would be like, we got to change the subject, man.
So then Ethan wakes up in the woods again, and his cast has a green heart, and there are, I noticed this for the first time, like hash marks on it. Right?
Okay.
Like tally marks. And it hasn't always had those, and it's always had a red heart. And he aims a gun at May and says it's close, but she got the heart wrong. And she's like, I know.
She ran out of red markers.
And he asks, how many times? So back at the gas station, we get this flashback. The zombie he had shot got up and bit him on the arm.
Mm-hmm.
And May tells him that his body is changing. When she feeds him, it halts the process, and then he remembers. And then we're back at the table with Kai and family. Ethan and Emma are excusing themselves to go wash up because Kai is going to give them dinner.
Right. I just want to cut back quick.
Mm-hmm.
After that bit with May, he rips the cast off, and we see all the plant stuff growing out of the bite.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because when he asks how many times, she's like, it's complicated. He's like, I have time. No, you don't. You need to feed.
So the family, Kai's family, is praying before dinner. And then upstairs in the washroom, Emma tells Ethan, who seems to be struggling, that she's going to be right back. So she gets downstairs and Kai points a gun at her, telling her that he knows Ethan is sick, and asks her how long she's been feeding him. While this is happening, the mom and daughter go upstairs to check on Ethan, because apparently Kai hasn't told them
No.
not to do that.
No.
And he attacks them as they get up there. And then Emma gets into a scuffle with Kai downstairs and kills him.
Mm-hmm.
But during that scuffle, he he pushed her on the counter into the broken baking dish that the dinner was in.
Yeah.
And that ripped her face open.
Yeah. I want to just jump back a second.
Okay.
Because, I made all these little notes of stuff. When they first went into the house, there was a newspaper on the coffee table.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that it had symptoms. But again, it was super quick. And if I wasn't taking notes, I probably would have been able to read it. Mm-hmm. Right. So I didn't see what the symptoms were. But when he's confronting her, he's talking about amnesia is one of the symptoms.
Right.
And so that's what triggered him.
Yeah.
Because you could tell the dude just isn't.
Because, Ethan wasn't fully there.
Yeah.
So, the scar on her face happened in that scuffle. It's the same scar that May has. So, in the woods, back to Ethan and May, mm-hmm. He remembers finally that May is Emma.
Yeah.
And at this moment, I was like, called it.
I know. You got it, baby.
Called it. He asked how long she's been doing this. Because May is quite a bit older than Ethan and Emma.
Yeah, like I said, yeah. So
Ethan's in his 20s.
And and Emma in the flashbacks and stuff, same thing. And mm-hmm. she's a fresh doctor.
Right.
Right. So she's was probably still in residency.
Probably.
Right. But yeah, these are young folks, under 30 for sure.
Yeah.
And
May is,
late 40s, early 50s,
mm-hmm.
clearly. And I say late 40s is like a gimme. Closer to the 50s bit.
I think she's in her 50s.
Yeah.
He asks her how long she's been doing this, and she explains that when he eats regularly, he's like the fountain of youth. He never changes, but his memory is inconsistent. And she has spent years keeping him fed and young. And then one day he stopped recognizing her because she no longer looked the way that Emma did when she was young.
Yeah, by aging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he remembers less and less now. And she, confesses to him that she can't do this anymore. She's like, I don't know how long, I just can't. And he says that he can't either.
Yeah, we do see a scene where she's waking him up and he didn't remember her.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, keep going.
Okay.
I'll come back to it.
So now we're back to the beginning when we saw Ethan looking over that vista
mm-hmm.
and he shot himself. He gets up again because headshots don't work.
Nothing does.
Nothing
presumably
works.
Unless you burnt the body.
Right. But even then, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, this isn't like typical zombie thing.
Yeah.
Which came when that came in the middle made this even more like woeful.
Yeah.
Zombies are hard enough to deal with. I got to have headshots and this, but I thought, Jesus Christ.
The world is just gone.
Right.
So May tells him to stop because he has the gun again.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells her that he loves her. And while he kisses her, he bites her lips. And she tells him that she's letting go. And then he starts eating her.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's kind of a montage of them, all their moments together. and then they're both bloody and holding hands and laying on the ground.
Well, yeah, it's one of those where, well, it's just like a shot, and then the hands come in, one from each side, bloodied, and grab onto each other. So that was kind of cool.
And that's the film.
Well, I do want to say the credits start to roll. A couple of things. So as the end comes, there's this. They're playing Crimson and Clover, which was the music they played earlier on when she's like, "You're not going to let a woman dance alone, are you?"
Right.
Yeah. Love that song. So anyway, during the credits, I loved this. There are just like shots, and this was it reminded me of Night of the Living Dead. Because funnily enough, we've seen it like 30 times in the last week. That fucking thing has been on everywhere you turn. They had a whole marathon over the weekend.
Yeah.
It was on in the night. It was on during the day the one time, and then they had Day of the Dead.
And then Lily wanted to watch it with the riff tracks.
And then we watched the riff tracks one because it's just fucking hilarious.
Yeah, we have watched it several times over the last couple of weeks.
And not like looking for it. It's just like there, But anyway, one of the things that I thought way back to when I first saw it, I was like 6, right?
Yeah.
Fucked me up. Not gonna lie, because I was like, man, you can't win for losing.
Yeah.
Right? That poor dude Ben getting killed at the end broke my fucking heart.
Yeah.
But anyway, what made it even creepier was watching the credits at the end. All the shots of like the farmhouse or a farmhouse in the distance, shots of the posses or whatever hunting the zombies, and just these still shots, and I'm like, god damn, that was so unsettling. They do the same thing here. We have shots of the countryside buildings, we have one of Myrtle, some of the different reclaimed, and it keeps going until the cast list comes up.
Right
And I really like the end music. That's why I was just letting it play. But these folks, when you watch this, there's not really any lessons to learn from still photos at the end of a movie during a credit sequence, but it is cool. And it's very similar to Night of the Living Dead. And I think that is what added, for me, that level of post-viewing, Jesus Christ, to the whole thing.
Well,
right?
Because those still photos, as your post-film, trying to digest what has just happened, they keep you within that world in order to, let you continue to process it in the way that the film intends.
Yeah.
I think that's what Night of the Living Dead did. And I think it is. I think you're wrong. I think it is a lesson that you can take from it. Is if you're making a profound statement with your movie and you want to let the viewer continue to sit in that world for a bit, you can use the first part of the credits to do that a little.
Okay, I will say yes. I agree to that. I will say, though, don't do it to do it.
Sure.
It has to work. This worked. Worked. Because we've seen things like, things that come up and stuff, and it really doesn't do anything, And I'm not talking about the ones where it's actual, like, scenes, behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
Pictures and stuff. But it is a thing to do. I would say, and this is a lesson before we get into the lessons.
Free lesson.
Yeah.
I mean, this podcast is free to listen to. But
there you go. A bonus.
A bonus lesson.
Understand this. I view still photos as the most single powerful form of medium out there. Movies are great. Documentaries are great. Footage of shit is great. And it's not because we've been trained through history. Photos are the things, right? That's how we know our history. There's very, very few actual like pieces of film.
Yeah.
On a lot of stuff. But photos have been there since like day one. Right? And the thing that made it work for Night of the Living Dead, I just saw this horrible fucking thing happen, right? To all these people and poor Ben at the end. But those pictures were harder to view after all that, because it's a frozen moment of time that completely robs you of the expectation that it's going to get better or that it's going to change. it's like we see the woeful moment in a movie, right? And we're just hoping for the fucking hero, and 9 times out of 10, something will happen, swoop in, make things great, and you know the they fight the good fight and all this stuff. Marvel tried it so many times and failed because you just didn't be like, I can think of like 3 moments out of 22 Marvel movies where I was like, woo,
Yeah.
and most of the time it felt forced. But seeing these pictures, it is what it is. That moment, it's undeniable, and you can't make it better.
Right.
It's not going anywhere. It's there permanently. That moment is frozen permanently. And it really did reiterate in both Night of the Living Dead and this, the permanence of the situation.
Right. This thing that you watched is just a small story inside this big world that is very sad.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, with that little lesson out of the way, should we talk about some of the really excellent fucking lessons this movie has?
Yes.
Let's do it.
So, technical aspects.
Yes.
The cinematography is excellent. The sound design for this film is very, very good.
Yes.
One thing in particular is the Crimson and Clover song they use.
Yes.
Which is actually, it's almost a trope how often it's used in situations of things happening over and over and over again.
Yeah. We talked about that.
Yeah.
Like immediately after. Well, actually, while the credits and stuff were going.
Yeah.
We both love that song.
Yes.
But it is like in a lot of things.
Yeah. It's in Russian Doll. It's in, I don't even know what else it's in, but I know it's in lots and lots of things.
Yeah.
Wherein it is sort of the same situation happening over and over again.
Yeah. And it works.
It does.
Can't argue.
I mean, it's right there in the lyrics, isn't it?
Yeah.
But there's something very, I want to say, sort of dreamlike about the cinematography for this.
Yeah.
Like it's soft. The whole film feels very soft toned.
Yeah. And I mean, some people will understand that. For folks new to the concepts, it's not like it's soft focus. It's not like full focus up front and soft focus in the back. There's a lot of depth of field focus and everything. I mean, it's really crisp.
It is.
But the edges, right?
Yeah.
You do that thing like you always see. Whoop, hit my thing. Where the guys, they make the L shapes with their like they're doing toy guns, and then they hold it and make the rectangle. And that's a trope too.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm this is what it would look like in a frame. They have that softness, even like when they're going through to that gas station bit.
Yeah.
Right. It makes me feel like I'm there because there's plenty of cinematography that's super good.
Oh yeah.
I mean, brilliant and beautiful and stuff. And these days, focus is focus.
Well,
we have such sharp edges and everything.
Yeah. Like Atomic Blonde is a very sharp film.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And the cinematography is fantastic.
Yeah.
But it's it's a completely different film, but it's a fully different feel.
Yeah.
When you're watching it.
Yeah.
And the softness of this film really lends to this isn't a zombie apocalypse story. It's a love story.
It's a story during a zombie apocalypse.
Right.
Yeah. That's the background.
Right.
And that's why I said it makes me feel like I'm there, like I'm learning from these folks. I'm sharing these little moments with them. It has that soft in terms of intimacy.
Yeah.
Kind of shot.
Yeah. That's a good one. Like it's intimate.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, then there's the sound, which we could talk about for a while.
It is clear. The Foley work is phenomenal. And the one thing that I noticed was you're not overcome by it, even in like the chaos moments, right? it's like he knew what he wanted to be heard, and we hear just those things, which is enough.
It's very subtle and smooth.
Yeah, and then there's some scenes where there's like all the ambient shit going on,
Hmm.
and you get the nature sounds and stuff like that, which adds to the depth of visual.
Right.
But it's very selective.
Yeah.
I think it was well thought and well executed.
Yeah. Well, that's my biggest lesson, I think, from this film. Like, the storytelling in particular was very thoughtful
Hmm.
and very selective, because right from the beginning, you know that something is off.
Yeah.
Things don't add up,
Hmm.
right? Even just from when he, well, it's right away when he shoots himself,
I mean, yeah.
right? And
Um,
then all these little details like the cast and the just like, how is he here? Where did she come from? This all these little details that
I
make you feel like there's something more here. I need to figure out what's happening.
right. I actually, in the beginning, questioned: Is this even a zombie apocalypse happening?
Okay.
Right. Well, because we've seen movies like
Hmm.
that where it's such a mind fuck.
Oh yeah.
Right. We're 2 hours and 12 minutes in, and then we learned it was all bullshit. The dude has been strapped to a toilet this whole time and has been living this shit in his head, right? For real.
Right.
And that's like, so when he woke up with that bloody hammer, I'm thinking, oh my God, is he just like, is is this amnesiac serial killer thing going on? I
Right.
mean, is he just got more problems than we could put labels on? You know, and I don't feel like it was a bait and switch.
No.
I feel like it was freeform in the beginning. Like, what the fuck is going on? There's something with this dude that
Right.
makes me call into question the whole scenario,
Yeah.
right? And I especially, I mean, hardcore questioned, like, I don't think this is where this is going. The whole zombie thing. When he was watching the reclaimed, that woman eating Sam, the
Hmm.
boy, and then gone.
Yeah.
Like, oh, is this is he just seeing this shit and he just like beating people to death, but he doesn't see it as him,
Right.
right?
And I also want to say one thing that we didn't catch because we were taking notes, that I think if we weren't taking notes, we would have looked into a lot closer, where all the flyers with the symptoms and all the little
Yes.
signs of things, which I think would have included all of the things that he was experiencing.
Yeah, they were super quick. And like I
Hmm.
said, when I saw that on the table, I it was hard not to say, wait, can we go back?
Yeah.
Because I don't like doing that. We've done it a couple times.
Hmm.
We've paused a couple times in
Yeah.
movies because like there's just so much has just happened. Okay,
Yeah.
pause and catching up.
Yeah.
And a couple times there was something really weird or something was said, and we both were like,
What?
that sounded super important, but
Yeah.
we're only like 85% engaged in any movie because we're taking notes.
Right.
So and we run back. I try to avoid that.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's just not. I'm not going to break the momentum.
But I feel like everything you needed to figure out the story was there,
Hmm.
right? The symptoms flyers, the May, her hair has the same dye streaks in it as Emma.
Hmm.
And I think May is Emma, because in that flashback we got really a good full picture of Emma
Yeah.
at the gas station, and she had like pink streaks in her hair. May is much older.
Yeah.
Her hair is much longer. But those same streaks are in her hair. They're just not pink, they're white.
Right. That picture that he picked up
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a young May. It was Kai
Yes.
and his wife,
Yes.
right? Um, you know, all these little pieces were
Mm-hmm.
were well done. So for me, I'm gonna start with the negative. There's only one negative I felt through in this whole thing.
Okay.
You know how I am about circle rounds and flashbacks,
Yeah.
right? And out of order time things.
Storytelling.
I was I was worried that it was going to be one of those like endless loops where it's just like from beginning to end.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get this. It lasted for a little bit, and I was questioning, like, am I going to enjoy this movie? Because I have a hard time with that stuff, you
I
know.
know.
But it wasn't long before they were puzzle pieces that worked,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I didn't feel disoriented. I didn't feel the only thing that threw off in the beginning when it started is because he's the same fucking face like from beginning to end,
Right.
past and present,
Yeah.
right? And we get that.
Yeah.
We get that explained and stuff. So
Well, even that was something that felt wrong to me as well. Because in the flashbacks, he looks the same age as he does now, but clearly in those flashbacks, everything had just started. And where he is now, everything has been, I mean, it's happened, it's done.
yeah,
And
because
it's been a while.
when he's in that little town like with the school and stuff, I mean, this is like post nuclear. I
Yeah.
mean, this place is like fucking inches of dust, and there isn't like any signs of people who are like bugged out recently. This
Right.
shit's
It's
been
like
sitting for a long time.
bare minimum 5 years, right?
Yeah.
If not more.
Well, I was trying to attribute a time to it.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes because it is an indie film and
Mm-hmm.
$7 million budget goes a long way, but it goes mostly the long way for technical
Right.
to get the shit done, which is why it looks so fantastic. But sometimes like when you have, deserted buildings and stuff, you don't have the money to like sort of revitalize
Right.
it and renovate it and clean it up. So sometimes they look older than they are.
Right.
We've seen some things, and that's just I mean, it is what it is,
Mm-hmm.
right? But um, I I was really trying to piece how long has it been, because also how long has this guy's fucking arm been broken?
Right. Yeah.
That was starting to nag me a little bit.
Yeah.
Like but then the guy's always passing out. I mean, I don't know. Is he just like always breaking that arm, or does he? I don't know. I
Right.
just don't know. It's just weird,
Well,
you know.
and even the characters pointed out that woman in the cabin, she's like, how did you get a cast? All the pieces are there.
Yeah, yeah. That would be like, you know, how did you get a fully charged, notebook computer? How do you get internet? It's just like a cast is one of those weird fucking things that doesn't exist in this world,
Right. How did
right?
that phone have any charge?
Right.
You
And
know?
that was the thing too. That you piece together in your head. At first, it's like, oh well, he's not that fucking far behind her,
Right.
right? Because even sitting off, a phone's only going to last for so long,
Yeah.
right? And we're talking like a couple weeks. Is how we were like he's been looking for her,
Yeah.
and then you realize, oh, she's charging it and putting it back, charging it and
Oh, yeah.
putting it back, because they've been through this, and only this time Joni was there with her kid, and
Right.
fucked up the whole routine. So anyway, so I'm that was my only negative feeling during this was the worry of the whole out of time thing, but it didn't become that.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't become that. So, but moving forward, the writing, I don't even know what to call it. This is more like a thriller, because it's
Yeah.
not really suspense, right? Because we're not really sure what. Mostly a suspense is person A, person B, and then there's a situation, and it's like, well, which one is which in the situation? This was more, what in the fuck is actually going on? What
Right.
is his story, right? And it's a thrill because these things happen, the flashbacks, the Tom and his crew showing up. It's like, what? How's this going to fold into it?
Yeah.
It was thrilling,
Yeah.
you know. Um, and piecing all this together, it, it, I really enjoyed it. So when I did, One Night in Gilbert,
Sure. Yeah.
right, the little D&D
D&D
module
campaign.
that I wrote,
Mm-hmm.
that was the whole point, was to have just a bunch of shit, where this movie is not, um, it's medium paced. It's not slow. It's not like a slow burn, because
Right.
you're immediately like, what is up? And it's not action where shit
Mm-hmm.
is always on the go. So it's a nice medium ride, which is perfect. Um, to but you're always moving.
Yeah.
Every time you think, and also something else is happening, you're like, shit, okay, back up a bit. Let's take this
Right.
in and then reevaluate.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Yeah, I think it was exceptionally well written. And the thing with a well written script is actors,
Mm-hmm.
director, the DP, everybody. When you have something that is really good,
Set design.
yeah, the whole thing can fall apart if all those other elements aren't there to back it up. And
Mm-hmm.
Lowell is fantastic at what he does. So directing this, fuck yeah, right?
Yeah.
Because it's his work.
Yes.
He knows how he wants to present it, and he's good at bringing that to fruit, as most indie film people are, because it's their shit.
Because you have no choice but to do it yourself, basically.
Yeah, but the reason they do it is because this is how they want it to look. Yes. This is how they want it to be, and we know what happens when a script goes off. And we were talking about it. That one with Zachary Quinto.
Oh, the right? Green chair, the chair.
Okay, so folks, you may have, it's out there somewhere. What it is Zachary Quinto and some other folks made this like reality show where they hired a script writer to write a script, and again kind of gave the guidelines, and wrote a really good script. They were all loved it, and then they hired 2 amateur directors. One was a YouTuber. I can't remember the woman what her claim to fame was.
I can't remember
if she did like shorts and stuff. But anyway, they brought them in and gave them the script and said, you got to make a feature. Here's your budget. Boom. And both of them just wildly fucked that script into like oblivion.
They sure did.
In fact, the guy, they occasionally would, talk with him. And he's like, I'm just pissed. I wrote a really good fucking script. I wrote a really good movie.
Yeah.
And there's like no semblance of what I wrote in either of these scripts.
Yeah.
And I hate that shit. I hate it. If you don't have the talent to take something that's given to you, and you got to make some changes and stuff, maybe this will look better for what I have in mind. But when you just, make like the fucking title, and they didn't even have the same title.
No.
They changed the title and everything. And then you just like write a whole new script over it.
Pretty much, yeah.
What the fuck? If you want to give me, $2 million for it and my script and just like, jack fuck it into nothing, I got $2 million. Fuck you. Do whatever you want, but don't put my name on it.
Right.
I don't want to be involved with it. Anyway, so that's what they did. And the YouTube dude, he was a dick anyway. I don't know why they got him, because his shit was no good on YouTube.
That's
the
true.
little clips they showed us. I'm like, what the fuck did he bring to the table? His shit was so bad, Zachary Quinto backed out.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want my name on this production. I don't want my production company. You are not to mention us. We are backing out.
Yep.
It was that bad. And, did we talk about that?
We may have.
Graveyard Shark, the foul humor.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. Because YouTube guy had like a homeless dude shitting into a cup and eating it.
Yeah.
And laughing, having a good time.
Yeah.
Anyway. So yeah. I still recommend it. And one of these days we'll get the actual name 100%, just to be sure. And where it is.
It is a documentary called The Chair.
Okay.
Because at the time we watched it, we were also talking to Kyle Hester, who has another movie called The Chair.
That's right. Yeah. With Rowdy Piper.
Yeah. So we watched that film, but the documentary is also called The Chair, and it is not anything.
Not even remotely close.
Not related.
Right. So, it just blew my mind. We should find out where it is. I guess you can hunt around and look. So I can't remember where we watched.
I think it was on HBO.
Was it HBO or was it like IFC?
No, I think it was HBO.
Okay. Anyway, it's out there somewhere. Please see it. And I think it's worth seeing that process.
Yeah.
On
it was really interesting.
A can become Z.
Yeah.
That quick. Anyway. So anyway, the whole thing, well written, and the execution of what was written, I think was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
The visuals, everything, the timing, it was all just brilliant. And I especially liked the take on the zombies, the reclaimed, not the first plant-based one,
No.
right? That's Last of Us is all about that.
Sure. And even that wasn't the first plant-based one. There have been other
Oh yeah,
plant-based
that's what I'm
zombie
saying.
things.
But that's the most recent,
Yeah.
compared to
Comparison.
this. But it I just that whole bit that you can't fucking kill them.
Yeah.
That really, because we think of zombie apocalypse, right? We read the Flesh News series,
Newsflash.
Newsflesh series, whatever. I'm dyslexic.
Fleshy
Give me a
news.
break. Um, where the whole procedure of becoming a zombie was different.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could just become one, not get bit, not die.
Right.
You could just be having lunch, all of a sudden, it starts because of the shit that's in your body.
Right.
If it becomes the cell count becomes too much, you flip and you're done.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a virus that it kind of has a switch.
Yeah.
A little plug for that if you're interested in checking it out. It is the Newsflash trilogy. It's by Mira Grant.
Right. It's very good. Very good.
It is very good.
Yeah, it is very good. And anyway, I like to take on it because in a normal zombie apocalypse, it's the whole thing of reclaiming the world. Like Walking Dead, I was going to say Grateful Dead. The Walking Dead, that's their whole thing, is rebuilding society, right? And that's what you would do. And in a normal zombie apocalypse, even if 80% of the entire planet turned, eventually you could rebuild, right? Maybe not in 10 years, but in a 100-year time frame, you could like wipe out enough and build up your fortifications enough. And unlike The Walking Dead, you could actually learn some valuable lessons and execute them without half-assing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot of their problems. They sort of just, you saw it coming.
I mean,
it's like, this is all your fault, man. You had every opportunity to do this right, and you just dicked around. But anyway, when that happened, when that was said, I lost my sense of hope for the apocalypse view.
Oh, sure.
Which I think actually worked really well because, like we said, this isn't a zombie apocalypse story.
Right.
It's a story during the zombie apocalypse.
Well, just the apocalypse, really.
I mean, pretty much, yeah. And it is a love story.
It is.
Yeah. And I think it is probably one of the most unique ones out there.
It is. Yeah. I've never seen anything quite like it. And one of the other things that I want to mention as a lesson is art teaches us, how the questions to ask ourselves and each other.
Mm-hmm.
Because this did start a little conversation between us, like, would you do that? You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and that's, yeah. Just to cover that quick.
Yeah.
And this is a lesson for the writing and everything else. You want people to be talking about your movie.
Yeah.
Hopefully in a good light.
Right.
Right. And then you have those bits, maybe they're going to debate and discuss, and that's always good. You want them walking out of the room or the theater with that still on their mind, going to dinner, doing whatever, drive home,
thinking about it
and discussing it. Right.
Yeah.
And this, I can't imagine nobody discussed this movie who's seen it. I think everybody had to have some discussion because that was the thing. Would you do this?
Yeah.
And it made me think. We had this whole round table with you and I going round and round. Right now, no. Because if you were bitten, I would not go through what she did because you're dead. Right? You're dead.
And I wouldn't want you to put yourself through that.
Well, and that would weigh in a little bit, but more importantly, I couldn't put you through that because even though you're dead, you're conscious and you're living. And if I feed you, you regenerate. I love that. The more you eat, the fresher you stay, because that's what also fucked us up a little bit is the variance of the thing. Like we have Myrtle who looks like literally almost just pure bone.
Yeah.
It's like there's just enough tissue where she can move around still.
Yeah.
But then there's other ones we see in the present who look a little more fresh.
Yes.
Right? Like the woman.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Like the red-haired woman.
And you're like, well, did she just like freshly get fucked up and made her way over? You just don't know. But now it all makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm sure people are still getting bit freshly.
I'm sure. But then in those, like cross the country, they didn't go cross country, but the long bike ride.
Right.
There were lots in various states. There were some that were like trees almost.
Yes. Yeah, they were, yeah. Almost indistinguishable from the flora around them.
Mm-hmm.
But then we got talking about, so if you go through that kind of shit though, and her whole thing was, he was all she had left.
Yeah.
And she even said that. You're all I had left. And I can't pretend to imagine with any reliability how I would react in that situation in the moment. I know right now my morals and everything would say no, because I wouldn't put you through that. I would want you. It's reminiscent of The Governor in The Walking Dead and all these other movies where somebody always has like a fucking loved one chained up in a basement or an attic because they just can't let go.
Yeah.
And
can't bear it.
The pain he's in.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if he's going to go to sleep and not remember.
Mm-hmm.
It's the pain of the moment, the pain of not knowing, the pain of confusion, the pain of loss,
right,
and worry and panic that he's looking for this woman who will never be found. I couldn't fucking do that.
Yeah. Well, and it is actually, I mean, there's real life examples of that sort of thing. It's like people with dementia,
mm-hmm.
right? The amnesia is similar in some ways.
Yeah.
Right? Where you're just watching a person kind of slowly disappear.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it's awful. And anyone who has gone through that with the loved one knows how awful that is. But this is, I mean, similar in some ways, different in others. But she is choosing to watch him go through this.
Yeah.
Because she can't let him go.
Right. It's just so weird, the concept. He's dead.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to ever get better. He's dead.
Mm-hmm.
And if she misses feedings and stuff, it just will get worse and he'll age and become one of the things, one of the reclaimed we saw in the shots. But, I did go through this with my grandmother.
Yeah.
And I actually stopped going to go see her because she had no fucking clue who I was and would tell me stories about her grandson. Right. But and it wasn't like because it was hard on me, but she was already dead to me because everything that my grandmother was gone. Because this woman was just not at all like what I remember my whole life. But she also just really couldn't figure out who the fuck I was.
Yeah.
Right? Why am I talking? Why is this guy talking to me? And I thought, yeah, I don't want to put her through that. Because clearly, same thing. She's going to go to bed and wake up and not have any clue that I was there or that some stranger was there talking to her out of the blue because every time it was brand new. Yeah. But, you draw the line where it's like, it's kind of a cruelty. It doesn't matter. The forget thing or the reset button, whatever.
Well, it's like telling her every single day that her husband's dead if she doesn't remember.
Right. You don't want to fucking do that.
Right.
It's because pain is pain.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, that's the whole thing behind it is I wouldn't want to do that. But there is no situation where it's just me and you and that thing is happening because we're here and we're doing a podcast because clearly we're not in an apocalypse situation
yet.
Anything like that. I don't know what I would do. I would like to think I would stick to my guns and carry the burden of the loss. Right.
Yeah.
Because you died, just because you bounce back up doesn't mean you're back, you're dead.
Yeah.
And I've got to kill all these people.
Yeah.
To keep you going. It's just like, I don't know.
I mean, that's the thing. I would like to think that I would stick to my guns as well. But I also know that there's a part of me, and there will always be, where it's kind of like, I don't know if I can do this without you. Right?
I get that. Yeah. But if you're like him, if you're like Ethan, and you're absolutely no fucking good to me, then I am doing it without you. because you are of no assistance in the situation because you can't remember who the fuck you are. You don't know who I am. I
Yeah.
can't rely on you to go through a routine. Now, granted, it didn't seem like that was in the beginning,
It wasn't.
right? It just got worse to the point where he forgot her and then just everything else followed,
Yeah.
right? But even so, if you went that long at that point, it would be like, oh, this can't continue because what if you freak the fuck out that I'm there and you get your hand on a knife or something and
Right.
you come at
Or
me?
I'm continually wandering off and you have to go chase me down.
Yeah. And then you have to like build your own little hospital.
Yeah.
Because, you got to eat. So that's 365 meals of human flesh. I don't know how much he has to eat.
I don't know. She makes him this sort of like bloody soup.
Right. But the dude in there in the barn, right,
Mhm.
had his arm amputated. So what can one body provide, say, like a week's worth of meals? That's
Oh, I
still,
think at least
well, like I said, I don't know how much of it, because it can't, she
he
said it can't be rotten. She did make that point
right.
where it has to be fresh,
Yeah.
living. So you can't just like cut somebody up and freeze the meat. So that's why she had to keep them alive. So let's just say one person will get you through a week. That's 52 people a year that you have to kill and keep alive while you cut them up into
Well,
deli
even
sections.
if it were one a month, that's still 12 a year. That's not, you know,
Well, yeah, and that's even worse because it's easier to keep one person alive for a week than to keep one person alive for a whole month,
yeah.
right? Cutting them up, cutting them up, cutting them up. Because at some point, the body's going to give out.
Right.
Now, the fact that she was a doctor made her ideally suited for that kind of thing.
Mhm.
You and I we wouldn't be able to do that,
Right.
right? So I think that would enhance the decision making. But see, we're discussing it outside of the tenet of lessons and stuff
Right.
because it is it's a moral question. It's a emotional,
Mhm.
right? Different levels. So I think overall, this movie is a good example. The lesson I think here is this is what you want to achieve, to be different in a genre,
Yeah. Be
right?
different in a genre and make people ask questions
Mm-hmm.
with your art.
It was different enough. Actually, it was very different, but it stuck to the genre enough where you knew where you were. So if you're a zombie apocalypse person, because zombies everyone knows it's our number one type of horror.
Mhm.
We love the super gore fests and the Japanese just wild shit. But zombie movies will always and forever be number one,
yeah.
right? And this was one of them. But it took a completely different take on it,
It
and not
did.
by running zombies and not by hordes of zombies. Um, it focused on a human story, right?
Right.
And it was deep. It
It
was deep,
was.
and it wasn't forced. You know, the little bits of exposition. Anyway, this is, like I said, a good example of I want to do something different in the blah 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 genre, right?
Mhm.
I'll say for horror, another example, to do something different, slasher, right? So we know what slasher is. It's a formula, ABC, wash, rinse, repeat. It's worked for 50, 60, 70 years. It's going to keep working, right? But you want to do something different. Watch this film
Yeah.
and take notes on how Lowell kept us in the zombie movie, right? Zombie horror, but gave us something pretty wildly new,
Yeah.
right? And you don't feel like you were robbed of anything. Because we've
Right.
seen movies that are like zombie apocalypse or this and that, and there's some sort of story they're trying to do. It's like, well, first of all, the story doesn't mean anything to me. And secondly, you focus so much on this poor, ridiculous story that you sacrifice the zombie apocalypse bit. And that wasn't even satisfying,
Right.
right? It can happen.
It can.
Um, this was just super well done.
It was.
That's where I'll leave it. What do you agree, disagree? Do you have your own?
No,
I know the sound is.
I agree. That was that was the lesson I wanted to put forward
Yeah.
most from this movie.
So excellent. Glad we finally got to see it. And
Mhm.
as per usual, be doing some reaching out. The Pondo boys and Jeff are working on gathering up
A date.
our date where
Let's have a
everybody's
date.
free on the same calendar.
Yeah.
moment where we can get them on the show. They all want to be on. David's waiting for me to reach back out because I know he's done with his shoot now.
Oh, good.
So I'll be doing that. So we'll have David, Ryan, Keith on eventually, talk about Primal Games and everything else. And I'm going to reach out to Lowell.
Yeah.
Because I still have his email. I've got all your emails, everybody. I kept them. I mean, why wouldn't I?
Well, yeah.
I don't abuse it. And I'm probably going to reach out to Kyle too, because he is still hammering away on Preacher 6.
Sure.
It's
been a couple of years.
I mean, it's been a couple of years. And Anton is still working on Girl Yeti in a Spaceship.
He is. He just recently put something out. It was like a short video related to that, or like a little sneak peek of it.
I might have missed
that. I didn't get a chance to check out.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll
My feeds are all fucked up. I get so much shit, and I actually don't see the stuff from the people I'm following.
I'm going to be so real. I've been reading and not checking my feeds.
Yeah.
So
we'll get to you. Anton, if you're listening, we're coming for you, man. We want to talk about the entire, I was getting at with Kyle and Anton now too, the concept that some indie films take
ages.
Years and years and years. Pandemic aside.
Right.
Like we know Wormwood, Road of the Dead was 3 years shot on weekends.
Yeah.
Shit.
It's a long time.
It is, yeah, a long time. So I want to get all these folks on, and we're gonna talk about that process, the time, and how do you make money at this?
Yeah.
I mean, if it's been 5 years or longer that you're still not done with your film, why? I mean,
it's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, and I'm asking why, not to be facetious about anything. It's I just want to know. I want to hear from these guys, because everyone has their own reasons.
Yeah.
And I think I'll go out on a limb and say I think the underlying tone for everybody is because
I have a day job.
Well, it's my passion.
Yeah.
I want to make this movie. I don't care how long, but I'm going to do it. And yeah, having to have a day job makes anything difficult.
Yeah.
We will vouch for that.
Sure does.
Anyway, so yeah, there's gonna be people coming. We're gonna get them on. I'm gonna reach out and get everything hooked up, folks, so you can hear from these brilliant filmmakers, and hopefully also some of the stars of these.
Yeah.
The actors involved, and yeah.
So yeah, ideally they're going to come to the show, but you know where you should go.
lordsofmistworldproductions.com. And from there, everything is at your feet. And just tired of going through it. So you'll see the links, you'll see the stuff. But more importantly, when you're listening to this, whether you go to the YouTube channel and you watch the video to listen to the podcast, still don't get it, but people do it. Power to you. That's why I do it for you. Like, subscribe,
review,
please review,
rate,
or at least rate,
yeah,
preferably with a review, because folks, all those things tick the boxes for the algorithms and the platforms and the stuff, and it helps get things out there. And please also share. Share with your fellow actors, directors, writers, producers, anybody who's at all involved in the process. And I mean at all. Right? We'll talk to grips, gaffers, craft services.
Yeah.
If you've worked craft services for a indie or a B movie, let's talk.
Yeah.
Because you have stories.
Oh yeah.
That you can share with stuff, and
lessons.
And all in those stories are lessons.
Yeah.
So,
reach out to us. We're not hard to find.
You know what? And yeah. When everything else is going to hell in a handbasket, and that is the only political thing I'll say, I think artists, we need to stay together, stick together, build together.
We need more art.
We do.
All right.
So
with that, I forgot what we say after with that.
Well, we say different things. We don't really have a closeout.
Yeah. Keep
writing, keep filming. Keep doing your thing. Keep doing your audition tapes. Keep practicing, folks. Do it. Reach out to us. Emails on the website. I think it's also on some of the platforms. I know Apple, you can click to get there, maybe Spotify,
Hmm.
whatever. Send us a note and tell us what you do, what you want us to see, want us to talk about your stuff. You want to be on the show? Let's do it. And
Yeah.
just keep at it, folks. Until next time.
This is Danny.
And this is Jim.
We'll catch you later.
Bye.